The police station yard felt unusually still that afternoon as officers moved slowly between parked vehicles and spoke in quiet voices while a trained dog named Rex lay near the back gate on the cool ground with his head resting low, and his eyes half open as if the world around him had grown heavy and distant. Rex had served the city for many years and everyone knew him as strong, loyal and sharp, but on this day something was wrong, and he refused to rise even when familiar voices called his name and gentle hands reached toward him with care and concern. Officer Sam stood nearby watching closely with worry pressed deep into his chest because Rex was not just a working partner, but a friend who had shared long nights, cold mornings and difficult calls without hesitation or fear. The vet arrived soon after, and knelt beside Rex while speaking softly and offering water and careful touch, yet Rex turned his head away and pulled his paw closer to his body as if guarding himself from something unseen. The officers exchanged looks of concern because they had never seen Rex behave this way, and it did not feel like stubbornness or defiance but something quieter and more troubling. The yard remained calm yet tense as minutes passed, and the dog stayed still with slow breathing and tired eyes that seemed lost in a memory far away. Sam remembered Rex as a young dog full of energy and focus, trained with patience and trust, and he struggled to understand what had changed so suddenly. The vet spoke quietly to the officers and explained that Rex needed care, but forcing him could cause more stress, and everyone agreed to step back and give him space while they searched for a way to help him feel safe again. Just then a small figure appeared near the open gate, and it was a little girl named Lily who had stopped on her way home from school after noticing the police cars and the quiet gathering of officers. Lily stood still for a moment, watching the large dog on the ground with wide, curious eyes and a calm expression that showed concern rather than fear. She did not rush forward or speak loudly, and instead moved closer step by step until she stood a short distance away and knelt down gently so she could see Rex at eye level. The officers noticed her presence, and one began to step forward to ask her to keep her distance, but before he could speak Rex's ear twitched slightly, and his eyes shifted toward the sound of her movement. Lily noticed this and took a slow breath as if she understood that silence and patience mattered in that moment. She spoke softly and said that the dog looked sad, and her voice carried no demand or command, but only care. Sam watched closely as Rex lifted his head just a little and focused on the girl in front of him, and for the first time since he had arrived something changed in the air around them. Lily looked at Rex with gentle focus and spoke again using words that were calm and steady and unfamiliar to most of the people standing nearby. She said, "Unit 7, shield down, stand safe." And the moment those words left her mouth the yard seemed to freeze as Rex raised his head higher, and his eyes sharpened with recognition. Sam felt a wave of shock and disbelief because those words were part of a private training code used long ago within Rex's unit and never shared beyond a small circle of handlers. The officers stood silent, unsure of what they had just heard and why a child would know something meant only for trained teams. Lily remained calm and continued to look at Rex as if she expected him to understand her meaning, and he did because his body relaxed slightly and his breathing slowed as though a door inside him had opened. Sam stepped closer to Lily and asked her gently where she had learned those words, and she replied without hesitation that her grandfather had taught her, and that he said the words were meant to remind someone that they were not alone. When Sam heard the name Tom spoken, he felt a deep connection return because Tom had been an officer who helped train Rex in his early days and who believed strongly in trust over force. The memory of Tom standing in the training yard speaking softly to a young dog came back to Sam with clarity, and he realized that Rex was responding not just to sound, but to meaning and memory. Lily spoke again using the same calm tone, and Rex lifted himself slightly, showing effort and trust while the vet slowly moved closer and prepared to begin care. Sam knelt beside Rex and placed his hand nearby, and this time Rex did not pull away but stayed still and alert as if he finally felt understood. The officers watched in quiet awe as the moment unfolded, and they saw that help did not always come from strength or authority, but sometimes from patience and kindness carried through unexpected voices. The yard slowly returned to movement as the vet began treatment, and Rex remained calm and focused with Lily's voice guiding him through the fear that had held him still. Sam looked at Lily with gratitude and respect and understood that the bond between service animals and people could travel across time and generations, carried not by rank or uniform but by trust and care. The moment Lily spoke the familiar code, the atmosphere around Rex changed, and the officers sensed it immediately, as the dog who had refused every touch now allowed the vet to move closer without pulling away, and his body slowly relaxed as if the fear inside him was loosening its grip. Officer Sam stayed close, watching every small movement, because he understood now that Rex was not resisting help, but was trapped in a memory that only certain words could reach. Lily remained kneeling with calm patience, and she repeated the phrases her grandfather had taught her years ago, speaking clearly and softly the way he once did during training sessions in the early mornings. Rex listened with focus, and his eyes stayed on Lily, as if she was the only thing anchoring him to the present moment. The vet carefully began treating Rex while explaining in a low voice that the dog had been overwhelmed by stress and exhaustion, and that his reaction was not physical pain alone but something deeper connected to his past service. Sam nodded because he remembered missions where Rex had stayed alert for hours without rest and moments where danger and noise had surrounded them without warning. Those memories lived inside Rex, and today they had surfaced all at once, leaving him unsure of where he was or who he could trust. Lily did not know the full story, but she sensed that Rex needed reassurance more than anything else, and she continued to speak in the same steady tone her grandfather always used. She told Rex that his team was nearby, and that he had done his job well, and that it was safe to rest now. Rex responded by lowering his head slightly and letting out a calm breath which surprised everyone watching. The officers exchanged quiet looks because they were witnessing something rare and powerful unfolding in front of them. The vet was finally able to finish the treatment and gently wrapped Rex in a blanket, while Sam stayed beside him, offering presence rather than commands. Lily slowly stood up and took a step back, giving Rex space, and the dog followed her movement with his eyes before settling again. Sam thanked Lily and asked if she would stay a little longer, and she agreed, sitting on a nearby bench while holding her backpack close. As time passed, Rex remained calm, and the tension that once filled the yard slowly faded into relief. Other officers approached quietly and spoke in low voices, careful not to disturb the peace that had finally settled around Rex. Sam sat beside Lily and asked her about her grandfather, and she spoke with warmth, explaining how he used to tell her stories about police dogs and teamwork, and how words could calm even the strongest fear. Sam listened carefully because every detail she shared matched the man he once trained with, who believed that trust was built through consistency, patience, and respect. Lily explained that her grandfather practiced the code with her not because he expected her to use it one day, but because he believed knowledge should be passed on with care. Sam felt a deep sense of gratitude knowing that Tom's lessons had found their way back to the team through Lily. As the sun moved lower, Rex was carefully lifted and moved inside the station, where he could rest in a quiet room away from noise. Lily watched as he was taken in and waved softly, and Rex turned his head one last time to look at her. Sam noticed the connection and understood that something meaningful had formed between them in a very short time. Later that evening, Sam checked on Rex, who was resting peacefully and responding well, and the vet confirmed that his condition would improve with time and calm surroundings. Sam stayed with Rex for a while, speaking softly and reminding him that he was safe and supported. The next day, Lily returned with permission and stood quietly by the door as Sam checked on Rex again. Rex recognized her immediately, and his tail moved gently, showing comfort and familiarity. Lily smiled and spoke a few more calming words, and Rex remained relaxed and attentive. Over the following days, Rex slowly regained strength and confidence, and each visit from Lily seemed to help him reconnect with the world around him. The officers noticed that Rex responded better to gentle voices and patient handling, and they began to adjust their own approach, learning from what they had witnessed. Sam realized that Lily had reminded them of something essential that had been buried under routine and responsibility. Service was not only about strength and obedience, but also about understanding and care. Rex's recovery became a shared effort, and each step forward felt meaningful to everyone involved. Lily continued to visit when allowed, and always respected the space and rules of the station. She never sought attention, and seemed content knowing she had helped in a small but important way. Sam watched as Rex stood a little taller each day and moved with growing confidence, and he felt hopeful knowing that the bond between handler and dog had not been broken but strengthened through patience and trust. As the days passed, Rex no longer appeared lost or distant, and his eyes once again showed the alert focus that defined him. The officers felt proud not only of Rex's progress but of the reminder that healing sometimes begins with listening and calm words spoken at the right moment. As Rex grew stronger, the station began to feel different in small, quiet ways, and the officers noticed it during morning briefings, during training walks, and even during simple conversations in the hallway. The yard that had once been only a place for drills and parking now held a memory of a moment when a frightened dog finally relaxed because a little girl spoke with patience and care. Officer Sam carried that memory with him each day, and it made him slow down more often, and watch Rex more closely, not just as a working partner but as a living being who carried pressure inside his chest the same way people did. Rex spent his first full week resting inside a calm room with soft light and minimal noise, and the vet visited regularly to check his recovery, while Sam stayed nearby to help Rex feel familiar comfort. When Rex began walking again, he did it slowly with careful steps, and every step felt like a promise that he was returning to himself. Lily continued visiting with permission, and she always arrived quietly with her backpack and her calm face, and she never rushed toward Rex or tried to make him perform. Instead, she sat near the doorway and talked softly about simple things like her school day, her lunch, and the way the weather felt on her walk home. Rex listened with steady eyes and gentle breathing, and the officers began to notice that her calm voice seemed to keep the room peaceful. Sam understood why, because Rex was learning to connect calm sound with safety, and that pattern mattered. One afternoon, Sam brought a small training pad into the room and placed it on the floor, then he let Rex smell it and step onto it at his own pace. Rex hesitated at first, then moved forward and stood with quiet focus, and Sam gave him a gentle praise. Lily watched with a small smile, and she said that Rex looked brave, and her words were simple, but they carried warmth. Rex turned his head toward her, and his tail moved slowly, and Sam felt that the team was rebuilding something important. Later that day, Sam spoke with the station leader about Rex, and the station leader listened carefully because everyone had heard about the day Lily spoke the code. The station leader said that many officers had grown used to moving fast and pushing through pressure, and that sometimes they forgot how fear and stress could hide behind silence. Sam agreed and said that Rex had not been refusing care but asking for safety in the only way he could. The station leader asked Sam to share what he learned with the rest of the team during the next training session, and Sam accepted because he wanted the whole unit to remember that trust was not automatic and it had to be protected. The next morning, the team gathered in the yard, and Sam spoke in simple words about the difference between a dog that disobeys and a dog that is overwhelmed. He reminded them that Rex responded when Lily spoke calmly, and that the code itself mattered less than the tone and meaning behind it. The officers listened, and some looked down thoughtfully because many of them had worked long hours and carried their own stress without admitting it. Sam did not lecture them, and he did not blame anyone, and instead he asked them to practice calmer commands and slower approach movements during training. They began drills where they used softer voices and shorter sessions, and they allowed the dogs to pause when needed. It seemed small, but it changed the mood of the training yard, and the dogs responded with steadier focus. That same week, Lily's school held a small event where families were invited to share stories about community helpers. Lily quietly told her teacher about Rex and about her grandfather Tom, who taught her that words could guide someone back from fear. The teacher asked if Lily wanted to write about it, and Lily agreed because she wanted her grandfather to be remembered. She wrote in simple lines about the police dog and the code and the quiet moment when the yard felt still. She did not write it to be famous or to gain attention, and she simply wrote it because it felt true. Her teacher later shared the story with the station leader, who read it with care and felt a tight feeling in his chest. He remembered Tom as a steady officer who cared deeply about training and kindness, and he realized that Tom's legacy was still shaping the unit through Lily. A few days later, the station leader invited Lily and her guardian to visit the station in a safe, approved way. Lily arrived wearing the same worn shoes and a clean sweater, and she looked nervous for the first time because this felt bigger than her quiet visits. Sam greeted her at the door and assured her that she was safe and that everyone was grateful. They walked through the hallway, and officers nodded with respect as she passed. Lily kept her eyes forward and held her backpack straps tightly. In a small meeting room, the station leader thanked Lily for helping Rex, and he spoke about how her calm voice had changed the way the unit thought about trust. Lily listened quietly, and then she said that she only did what her grandfather taught her and that she missed him. The room became silent for a moment, because everyone understood that behind the code was a child who carried loss. Sam gently told Lily that her grandfather would be proud, and the station leader said that they would honor Tom in a simple way. He explained that the unit had decided to bring back some of the older calm training methods that Tom believed in, and they would also keep a small plaque in the training yard to remember him. Lily looked surprised, and her eyes softened with emotion, but she stayed composed. After the meeting, Sam brought Lily to see Rex. Rex was in the yard now on a leash, standing steadier than before, and when he saw Lily, he moved toward her with controlled calm. Sam guided him to sit, and Lily stepped closer and placed her hand gently on Rex's head. Rex leaned slightly into her touch, and his eyes looked peaceful. Lily whispered that he was doing good and that he should keep resting when he needed. Sam watched this and realized that Rex was not only recovering but learning that safety could exist even after fear. As the sun lowered, the yard felt warm and quiet, and the officers felt a sense of unity that had been missing. They had seen a dog return from a dark moment, and they had seen a child carry wisdom beyond her years. And in that quiet yard where training usually meant loud commands and fast movement, they now understood that sometimes the strongest tool was a calm voice and a patient heart. The weeks that followed felt like a steady climb for Rex and for the people around him, because healing did not happen in one moment, but in many small moments that built on each other day by day. Rex began returning to light training in the yard, where the air smelled of grass and warm concrete, and where he could hear familiar footsteps and calm voices without pressure. Officer Sam kept the sessions short and gentle, and he watched Rex closely for signs of stress, and when Rex needed to pause, Sam allowed it without frustration. The other officers followed the same approach, and the unit slowly became known for being patient and careful, not because they were soft, but because they had learned that trust was a kind of strength that needed protection. Lily continued visiting, and each time she arrived, the mood of the yard shifted into something quieter and more focused. She never acted like a hero, and she never spoke loudly about what she had done, and she simply greeted Rex with a small smile and a calm voice. Rex responded in a balanced way with steady breathing and relaxed posture, and Sam saw that the dog was learning to stand in the present again without being pulled backward by fear. One morning, the station leader gathered the unit and announced a small community day that would take place in the station yard with safety and order, where families could meet the team, learn about service animals, and understand how care and training worked together. The plan was not about praise or attention, and it was about connection and trust between the station and the people it served. Sam agreed to bring Rex for a short demonstration, but only if Rex seemed ready, and the vet confirmed that Rex was improving well. On the day of the event, the sky was clear, and the yard was set up with simple stations where children could see equipment and learn basic rules about staying calm around working animals. Rex wore his harness and stood beside Sam with steady attention. Lily arrived with her guardian, and she looked slightly nervous because many people were present, but Sam greeted her with a friendly nod and reminded her that she could stay close to the safe area. The station leader welcomed everyone and spoke about teamwork and responsibility, and then he spoke briefly about Officer Tom and how his methods helped shape the unit. Lily listened quietly, and her hand tightened around her backpack strap as she heard her grandfather's name spoken with respect. The leader did not make it dramatic, and he simply said that Tom believed calm words could steady a frightened heart, and that the unit had seen proof of that through Rex's recovery. People in the crowd nodded, and some looked at Lily with gentle curiosity, but no one pushed forward or demanded anything from her. Sam began the short demonstration, and he kept it simple by showing how Rex could follow calm signals and how the handler watched the dog for comfort and stress. Rex moved with steady focus, and the crowd stayed quiet and respectful. When the demonstration ended, Rex sat beside Sam and waited calmly. The children watched with wide eyes, and the parents seemed grateful to see the care behind the work. After the event, the station leader guided Lily and her guardian to the side of the yard where a small plaque had been placed near the training gate. The plaque carried Tom's name and a short line about patience and trust, and the station leader explained that the unit would remember him not only in words but in how they trained and how they treated the animals who served with them. Lily stepped closer and looked at the plaque for a long moment, and she felt a mix of pride and sadness inside her chest. Her grandfather had been gone, but his voice still lived in the code and in the calm methods that now shaped the yard. Lily did not cry loudly, and she simply breathed slowly and touched the edge of the plaque with her fingertips as if she was greeting him again. Sam stood nearby and gave her space because he understood that grief was quiet and personal. Rex stood behind Sam and watched Lily with gentle attention, and then Rex took a careful step forward as if he wanted to be near her. Sam allowed it, and Rex came closer and sat beside Lily without being asked. Lily turned and placed her hand on Rex's head, and Rex remained still. The moment drew no loud reaction, but it felt powerful to the officers who noticed, because it was a sign that Rex trusted her fully, and that he could be calm even around a crowd and memory. Later that afternoon, when the yard emptied and the chairs were folded away, Sam walked Rex back inside, and the station leader thanked him for keeping the demonstration safe and balanced. Sam said that Rex had done well because everyone respected his space and because the unit had learned to slow down when it mattered. The station leader agreed and said that the unit would continue this approach because it improved not only the dogs but the people. That evening Lily walked home with her guardian, and the sunlight was softer now, and her steps felt lighter than they had in weeks. She did not fully understand why she had been given those code words by her grandfather, but she understood now that he had trusted her with something meaningful. She also understood that being calm could be a kind of help, even when someone felt powerless. At the station, Sam sat beside Rex's resting area and spoke softly the way Tom once did, and Rex listened with relaxed ears and steady eyes. Sam told Rex that he was safe and that he was valued and that no one would rush him back into pressure before he was ready. Rex closed his eyes and breathed slowly, and Sam felt grateful. In the days that followed, Rex returned to normal duty little by little, and each step was measured and thoughtful. The unit remained patient, and the training yard held a new culture where calm voices were not seen as weakness and where care was treated as part of discipline. Lily visited less often as school became busy, but she stayed connected through occasional check-ins, and every time she came Rex remembered her and responded with calm trust. The station leader later visited Lily's school to speak briefly about community helpers, and he mentioned that sometimes bravery looked like patience and sometimes help came from the smallest voices. Lily sat quietly in the classroom listening, and she felt warmth in her chest because she knew her grandfather's lessons were still moving through the world. And in the station yard where Rex once refused treatment and seemed lost, the unit now carried a stronger understanding that trust could be rebuilt and that calm words spoken with care could bring someone back from a difficult moment.